All right, so we are going to do the Math 9 Unit 7 test review. Um, Please email me if you have any questions. I would suggest watching this before your test and hopefully getting some help if you need or have any questions. Okay. All right. So first of all, we have 6x plus 11 over 5 plus 6x. I mean plus x plus x plus 6 over 10 and equals 8. When it's an equation, you handle things a little differently as opposed to an expression, and we're going to have both in this review. All right, so I've kind of written it out already on a separate sheet of paper because we really don't have a lot of room here. So I wrote it here. Okay. What you're going to do first is you are going to find a common denominator, okay, between 5 and 10, of course. And if you have been doing the notes and Alex, you should know that with the common denominator, it's basically if we have multiples, okay, you're trying to find the multiple, you can actually take these two numbers and multiply them if you had to. But in this case, 10 is a multiple of 5. So 10 is the common denominator. So you're going to take 10 and multiply it by everything. So it's going to be 10 and you're going to multiply it by 6x plus 11 over 5 plus 10 times this term, 6x, x plus 6 over 10 equals 10 times 8. Okay, so I took this 10 and multiplied it by everything. Simplify 10 and 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 10s cancel out. Okay, so this now becomes 2 times 6x plus 11 plus, and then it's x plus 6. I just bring that down since the 10's canceled out. And then, of course, 10 times 8 is 80. Okay, I'm going to have to distribute here. This becomes 2 times 6x is 12x. 2 times 11 is 22. I'm just leaving this alone. Okay, combining like terms. 12x plus 1x is 13x. Okay, plus, so 12x and 1x went together. 22 and 6 becomes what? 28 equals 80. Subtract 28. 13x is going to be equal to 8 minus 28, which is 52. And then I'll divide by 13. Okay, so your x is going to be equal to 52 divided by 13, which is 4. X is 4 after all of that. Okay, so here on my test review, my x is going to be equal to 4. Okay, and of course I want to model good behavior. I have my number 1. I circled it. This is how, like, if you had a test, you want to make sure that it's legible and the number circled, and I know exactly what problem it is. So x is 4 is my answer. Okay. All right. So for number 2, okay, I'm going to take 16 divided by 24. I can put that in my calculator. So I can say 16, and then I usually push instead of pushing the divide button, I'll push the number right above sign. Usually I'll do that for division, unless I want a decimal as an answer. If I want a decimal as an answer, I'll just push the regular divide. If I do not, which I usually do not, I'll push the ABC button up here. It's right above sign for my answer to be a fraction. So what this does is it simplifies your fraction for you. 16 divided by 24, your answer is 2 over 3. Okay, so here, this now, when I simplify, it becomes 2 over 3. Okay, m to the 6 is at the bottom. 1m is at the top. Of course, there's more 6's at the bottom than at the top. So basically, you're subtracting 1 from 6. So this now becomes m to the 5th, but it's left over at the bottom. So m to the 5th is at the bottom. Okay, n to the 7th and n to the 7th, they cancel each other out. So your answer looks like this: 2 over 3m to the 5th power. Okay, that would be your answer there. All right, so here you're going to divide. This is 5x plus 3. Anytime that you have a number in front of the x value, so like this 5x here, you cannot use synthetic division. and I was messing up on that lately. So now I looked it up, and you can't do synthetic. You have to do for A, B, and C. It looks like because you have that 6 here and this 4 here, you can't use synthetic. You have to do long division. So we're going to do long division for all of them. Okay. So we have this problem here. It looks like we need some room. All right. So I wrote that already out on the paper here. 3A. We are going to take this 5x plus 3, and we are dividing that into 15x cubed plus 29x squared plus 2x minus 11, okay? So you're always going to be looking at this number, okay? And we're saying, well, what do you have to multiply by 5x? That'll give you 15x cubed, okay? What do I have to multiply by 5x? That'll give me 15x cubed. It looks like 3x squared, okay? 3x squared times 5x is 15x cubed. And then 3x squared times 3 is positive 9x squared. Okay? Then you're changing the sign. This now becomes negative. This now becomes minus. Okay? So these will cancel out. That's exactly what we want. And we're looking at 29 plus, you're basically subtracting those. 29 minus 9 is going to be positive 20x squared. Now we're bringing down this positive 2x. Okay? So now you're looking at 5x. What do you have to multiply 5x? That'll give you 20x squared. Okay, looks like 4x, positive 4x. 4x times 5x is 20x squared, just like we want. And then 4x times 3, so because with these numbers up here, if you multiply one, you have to multiply the other. These two situations are married. So what you do to one, you have to do to the other. That's why I'm taking this 4x. Multiplying by 5x, I get 20x squared, but I also have to multiply 4x by 3. And 4x times 3 is 12x, positive 12x. Okay, change the sign, change this sign. This now becomes 2x minus 12x, looks like negative 10x. Don't forget to bring down this negative 11, minus 11. Okay, so now what do you have to multiply by 5x? That'll give you negative 10x. Looks like negative 2. So negative 2 here. Negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. And negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Of course, change your signs. This becomes plus and plus. Okay. And then you have negative 11 plus 6. And that's negative 11 plus 6. And that's going to give you negative 5. So your answer is negative 5 for your remainder. Okay. So there's multiple ways to write this out. If they wanted to write this out in a whole dividend, you would just write 3x squared. If they say, what is the quotient? You'd say 3x squared plus 4x minus 2 minus 5 over 5x plus 3. But in this particular situation, when they have it here, written here, they want the quotient and then they want the remainder. So the quotient here is the answer. So I put my quotient as 3x squared and then plus 4x minus 2, and then the remainder is going to be, we said, negative 5. Okay, so negative 5 is your remainder there. All right, so let's look at the next problem, this one here. Okay, I actually have it written out already over here. Hopefully I have enough room. Okay, I already have it written here. We are going to divide 4x plus 5, and we're going to divide that by 20x cubed plus 13x squared plus 17x plus 43. Okay, so of course you're looking at this here. What do you have to multiply? And that's a plus 5. 4x to get 20x cubed. Okay, what do you have to multiply by 4x to get 20x cubed? It looks like 5x squared. 5x squared times 4 is 20x cubed. Okay, and 5x squared times positive 5 is positive 25x squared. Okay, change the sign, of course. Okay, that cancels out, and this becomes 13 minus 25, 13x squared minus 25x squared became negative 12x squared. Don't forget to bring down that plus 17x. Okay, so now you're looking at 4x. What do you have to multiply 4x to give you negative 12x squared? Okay, looks like negative 3x. And negative 3x times 4x is negative 12x squared. That's exactly what we wanted. And negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x. Okay, change the sign, change the sign. That cancels out there, and it's going to give you 17 plus 15, which is 32x. Of course, we're bringing down this 43 plus 43. Okay, what do you have to multiply now? By 4x, that'll give you 32x. Okay, looks like maybe 8, positive 8. 8 times 4x is 32x. And 8 times 5 is positive, what, 40? Okay, of course, change the sign, change the sign. That cancels out. And 43 minus 40, we had just enough room. 43 minus 40 is positive 3. So our remainder is positive 3, okay? So if you had to just write out the whole quotient, you just say 5x squared minus 3x plus 8, and then it's plus 3 over 4x plus 5, okay? But we're writing it how they asked us to write it on the test review, okay? They're saying, what's the quotient, what's the remainder? The quotient answer is here, 5x squared minus 3x, 5x squared minus 3x. I want to say plus 8. Let me make sure I got that right. Yes, plus 8. And then the remainder is 3. So I'm just going to put the remainder as 3 there. Okay, perfect. Good. All right, so for this one, I wrote this out as well. Same situation. We're going to divide that. Okay. Let me see. All right, so that is that. Okay, it's written out already. 12x cubed minus 38x squared. So this is going to be 6x minus 7 divided by 12x cubed minus 38x squared plus 58x minus 35. Okay. Now we're looking at 6x. What do you have to multiply by 6x? That'll give you 12x cubed. Looks like 2x squared. 2x squared. 2x squared times 6x is 12x cubed. 2x squared times negative 7 is negative 14x squared. Negative 14x squared. Change the sign. Okay. Cancels out. This now will be negative 38 plus 14. Okay. So this is negative 24x squared. Bring down that plus 58x. Now, what do we have to multiply by 6x? That'll give us negative 24x squared. Okay, I know it's going to be a negative 4x. Okay, negative 4x times 6x is negative 24x squared, just like we wanted. And negative 4 times negative 7 is positive 28x. Okay, change the sign, make that negative. This now cancels out. That becomes 58 minus 28. 58x minus 28x looks like it's 30x. Don't forget to bring down that negative 35. Okay. So now what do you have to multiply by 6x? That'll give you 30x, positive 5. 5 times 6x is positive 30x. And 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, looks like. Okay. Change the sign, make that plus, cancels out. This becomes 0, 0 remainder, okay, which is fine. So this now becomes, for this quotient, the answer is here, 2x squared minus 4x plus 5, 0 remainder. So we have 2x squared minus 4x plus 5, 0 remainder. Yep, that's what we got for that, for number 3C. Okay, great. Now for this particular problem, when you have a monomial, like right here, this is actually a division. If you can see it, you're dividing this by this one monomial, as opposed to this is a binomial, has 2 different terms. This one only has 1 term. When you have that situation with 1 term, all you're going to do is separate them. Both of them will have a term. So if you wrote this out differently, so let's say you had negative 36 m to the 4th n to the 7th plus 35m squared into the 8th power. You're dividing it by the monomial negative 9m squared into the 5th power, okay? I rewrote this so that it looks like this. Now what you're going to do, of course, okay, this is the same problem. I'm going to just transfer it over to another paper. I wrote it this way, and now I'm going to split it up into 2. So now it's going to be negative 36m to the 4th into the 7th over this monomial, negative 9m squared into the 5th, okay? And then, of course, the plus sign, plus 35m squared into the 8th power over negative 9m squared into the 5th power, okay? So you see that these are the same. I just took this and divided this by this and then that by that, okay? And now I can simplify. I can put negative 36 divided by negative 9 in my calculator if I don't know that off the top of my head, divided by negative 9, okay? In my calculator, I got positive 4, okay? And I made it just a regular, I didn't do the AB thing, I just divided it. I got positive 4, so this becomes now positive 4, okay? Of course, there are 4 m's here and 2 there, so I would subtract 4 minus 2 becomes m squared. And of course, 7 minus n, this is, 7 n, n set to the 7th and minus n to the 5th, that becomes n squared up top. There's more up top, so the leftover would be up top. If there was more at the bottom, it would be at the bottom. So this becomes 4m squared, n squared, okay? Plus, now we have 35 divided by negative 9. Let's see if that simplifies. 35 and then divided by 9, okay? Second, and I'm going to push that AB again. Gives me that weird thing, but I need to see if 35 divided by 9 simplifies. It does not. Now, when the 9 is negative at the bottom, okay, that makes, if one of these numbers is negative, that makes the entire fraction negative. So instead of plus here, I'm going to put a minus, okay? Because this fraction is now negative, this becomes minus. Of course, this does not simplify, 35 over 9, okay? Looks like the m's cancel out. So there's m squared and m squared. This is into the 8th, into the 5th. Of course, they subtract, and the n third is left over at the top. So this is n cubed. This looks like it's your answer here for number 4. Okay. Got it? Good. So we wrote this out, and you will definitely see one of these on your test. So make sure you really understand that. Okay, so that is our answer there. We got 4m squared n squared minus 35 n cubed over 9. Okay, so that was our answer for number 4. Okay. All right, so now we're going to move forward. Number 5. Okay, we have this problem here. What you have to do for number 5, of course, is factor. Okay, and factoring is probably one of the most important skills you'll learn. You'll use it in unit 6, 7, 8, 9. You will use it moving forward. You must know how to factor. Okay, if you do not, you need to go back and do some practicing with factoring. Now, when I talk about factoring, the very last number being positive means that it's going to be the same sign in your factors. Okay, I'm just factoring the bottom. Same sign in your factors. There's going to be both pluses or both minuses, depending on what this is. Since this is minus and the last is plus, this is going to be x minus, okay? 2 minuses in your factors. Because this last number is plus and the first number is minus. If this was a plus, it'd be plus and plus. Okay, if this was plus and this was plus, it'd be plus and plus. Okay, if the last number is negative, of course, it'd be 1 positive and 1 negative. Okay. So you're trying to find your multiples of 16 that add to give you 8. Okay, multiples of 16 that add to give you 8, it looks like 4 and 4. Okay, so now this cancels out with this. Okay, top and bottom. There's only one on the top, so it can only cancel out with the one. And then what's left over, since nothing's left over, go ahead and put a 1 up top. X minus 4. Got it? Okay, so the X minus 4 is left over there. Nothing's up top, so I put a 1. All right, so here for number 6, you have to factor that top, you got to factor the bottom, but it looks like we're going to have to surface side divide there, so I'm going to put that on a separate sheet of paper for number 6. Let me see. All right, so we are going to have to factor 3x squared plus 19x plus 20. Okay, so can we take a greatest common factor out? Doesn't look like it. Okay, nothing multiplies into all 3 of those. So we're going to multiply 3 by 20, and then hopefully divide, and definitely divide that later. This becomes this becomes just x squared now, plus 19x, plus we did 3 times 20, which is 60. Okay, you're looking for your multiples of 60. This is a positive, and this is plus, so this is going to be x plus, okay? Multiples of 60 that add to give you 19. I'm going to maybe, let's say 60 divided by 6, which is 10. So 6 and 10 add to give you 16. So it can't be 6 and 10, okay? Because it has to add to give you 19. So let's say that I divided 60 by 4 and I get 15. That looks 60 is 4 and 15. Multiply to give you 60, add to give you 19. So 4 and 15. Okay, so also now that you have your factors here, now you have to divide by this number. 3, we're going to divide by 3. Okay, so 4 and 3 do not simplify, so I have to move this 3 here. This now becomes 3x plus 4. Okay, and then 15 divided by 3 is 5. This now becomes x plus 5 when I simplify. Okay, so this is your factor, and this is going to be what goes up here. All right, so that becomes now 3x plus 4 when I factor it, and that becomes x plus 5 here. Okay, so basically here what I did was I factored this, and it became this. Okay, and the bottom when I factor it, of course, these are perfect squares. Okay, and if you have the perfect squares, you're going to do the difference of squares with a minus in between. You'll take the square root here and the square root here. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. And the square root of 16 is 4. Okay, anytime you have that, 3x and 4, okay, one is going to be plus and one is going to be minus. And that is your difference of squares. These both have to be perfect squares, and they are 3x plus 4, 3x minus 4. Of course, the 3x plus 4s cancel out. Sorry. 3x plus 4s cancel out. And then what's left over is x plus 5 over 3x minus 4. Okay, this is your answer. Okay, x plus 5 and 3x minus 4. All right, perfect. All right, so for number 7, looks like a lot of factoring, which is fine. You have 3a here and minus 3b here. Of course, with the 3s, you can bring the 3 out, put it up front. What is left over when you do that? A minus b. Okay. Over, these are perfect squares, perfect square, perfect square. This now becomes a and 3b. And of course, a and 3b. Remember, it's the difference of squares, 1 plus, 1 minus. Okay. Here, you're factoring. This is a negative at the end. The only difference here is it has a b when you factor at the very end. So it's going to be times a minus something b, a plus something b. How do you know you have one positive, one negative? Because this last number is negative. When the last number is negative, you have 1 minus and 1 plus in those signs. Okay. What are your multiples of 12? That subtract to give you 1. That's what you're looking for. Multiples of 12 that subtract to give you whatever this middle one is, which is negative 1. 4 and 3 subtract to give you 1, and the bigger number has to be negative. So this one is going to be negative 4, positive 3. Okay, all over a minus b. And now we can simplify. So we can simplify the a minus b, and it looks like a plus 3b and a plus 3b cancel out. Now what is left over? 3 is left over at the top, and a minus 4b is left over at the top. And then at the bottom, a minus 3b is left over, okay? So now that you're done, you cannot like just cancel the a's out. You can't cancel the 3's out. You can't do that when you're adding and subtracting. You have the whole thing has to be the same, okay? Whole thing has to be the same when you have a subtraction or addition in between. They're like married now, okay? Good. So this will be your answer for number 7. But factoring is very, very important, okay? All right, so this is here, they want you to divide, okay? So there's a lot that needs to go on before you can divide, and we're going to show you how to do that. And with division, all you're doing is multiplying by the reciprocal of this. But let's look and see if I wrote down for number 8, because you're going to have to be on a separate sheet of paper. Yep, I sure did. All right, so for number 8, this is the problem, okay? We are going to, it looks like we're going to have to circle slide divide there. So we're going to have 16x squared minus 16x minus 5. Is there any greatest does anything multiply to all 3 of those? Probably not, okay? So we're going to multiply 16 times 5 and then later divide it, okay? So this becomes x squared minus 16x minus, and then we'll have 16 times 5, that becomes 80, okay? So you're looking for your multiples of 80, that subtract to give you 16. Because this is negative here, that means it's going to be one positive and one negative. That's what that negative at the end means. The bigger number is going to be negative. You're subtracting to get 16. So let me look at multiples of 80. Let's say 80 divided by 4 maybe. Yes, good. 80 divided by 4 is 20 and 4. And 20 minus 4 is 16. So that's why I'm going to use 20 and 4. Okay? And the 20, as you see, is negative. The bigger number is going to be negative because that middle number is negative. So 20 and 4. Now divide that by 16. Okay? Why? Because that's the number you multiply. Later on, you divide by that same number. So 4, and if I put that in my calculator, 4 divided by 16 equals 1/4. So I'm going to simplify. This becomes now x plus 1 over 4. And this becomes x minus, and I'll put that in my calculator, 20 divided by, what, 16. Push enter. I don't want that mixed number, so I'm going to push second. I'm going to push the AB button again, and then push enter. And I get 5 over 4. So x minus 5 over 4. Okay. Now that I've simplified my fraction, I have to move this here, and I have to move this here. So your answer there would be 4x plus 1 and 4x minus 5. Okay. So 4x plus 1 and 4x minus 5 will be what goes up here. Okay. So instead of that, we're going to put what we factored it. So this becomes now 4x plus 1 and 4x minus 5 up top over, we have to take, it looks like we have to take the greatest common factor out of there, which is 3. So when I divide this by 3, it becomes x, and I divide that by 3, it becomes 2. Okay. I took 3 out. That means I have to divide them. Multiplied. So when you multiply this, you have to flip the fraction here. So this fraction kind of stayed the same. I just factored that, and it still stayed up top, and that stayed at the bottom. But this now, the x minus 2 has to go up top. Okay. And this one is perfect squares. 2 perfect squares with a minus in between. That is the difference of squares. Square here is going to be 4x and then 1. Okay. 4x and then 1 here, and then 4x and then 1 here. Okay. And of course, a plus and a minus in between. So you're taking the square root and the square root. And of course, when that was up top, it now goes at the bottom. Whatever's at the bottom went up top here. Okay. Now we can simplify by canceling out. X minus 2's cancel out. 4x plus 1's cancel out. Okay. What's left over is 4x minus 5 here at the top. And 3 times 4x minus 1 at the bottom. Okay. And no, the 4x's can't cancel out. Remember, that's married to that. That's married to that. Unless the whole thing is the same, like 4x minus plus 1 and 4x plus 1, then you can do it. Okay. So there you go. That's our answer for number 8. Okay. All right. So we have for number 8, we have 4x minus 5 over 3 times 4x minus 1. Okay. That's our answer for number 8. Let's look at number 9. Number 9, same concept. You're going to have to factor. Oh, no, you don't, because they want you to simplify by adding. They don't want, here they wanted you to divide. Make sure you pay attention to the directions. They want you to add the two, okay? So here you have to add them. They have the same common denominator. So I'm just going to put them under the same common denominator, x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, I'm putting them together now. Now I can say x squared minus 5x plus 2x minus 10. Okay, I can put this and this together under the same denominator because they have common denominators. So now, oh, I really might have to write this out because I think I have to factor it. Okay, so now what happens is it becomes x squared minus 5x plus 2x. When I have those together, I can combine them. Negative 5x plus 2x becomes negative 3x minus 10 over x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay. I may have to factor this, which I believe I do. Negative at the end means that there's going to be one positive and one negative. Okay. If this is negative, one positive, one negative, the bigger number, I'm subtracting it the middle, the bigger number is negative. So multiples of 10 that subtract to give you 3, 5 and 2, bigger number is negative. So 5 and 2. Okay. Last number being positive means that they're going to be the same signs. And this means they're both positive. So both positive. Okay. Multiples of 8 that add to give you 6. Multiples of 8 to add to give you 6, 4 and 2. Okay. 4 plus 2 is 6. So that's the one we're going to use. And 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. What cancels out here? Looks like the x plus 2s. What's left over is x minus 5 over x plus 4. Okay. This is your answer. So that was a lot, kind of. But once you got to it, you have to still factor. You can't just leave it this way. So x minus 5 and x plus 4, that is going to be your answer there. Okay. Perfect. All right, so number 10, this is your problem here. Again, the only way you can add those is if you have a common denominator. It doesn't look like it, but let's factor that. This now becomes, if we factor this, we'll take a 5 out. What's left over looks like if we divide that by 5, x minus, and we divide 30 by 5, 6, plus 2 over x minus 6. Okay, so that is our factor problem, but now we have to have a common denominator. So here they're saying what is common between the two. Okay, we know that x minus 6 is going to be in our common denominator. We know that. So we know that's going to happen. But we also have this extra 5 here. And if we have the extra 5, it has to be in our common denominator. Okay, so if you see this, nothing changed from here to here. Okay, nothing. This stayed the same. So since it stays the same, the top stays the same. This 14 stays the same. Now from here to here, though, 5 changed. So if you have an extra 5 here, guess what you have to do there? Multiply that by 5. So now 2 times 5 became 10. Okay. So now, of course, you have 14. I'll write it here. 14 over 5 times x minus 6 plus 10 over 5 times x minus 6. Now that they have a common denominator, okay, now that they have a common denominator, I can put them under one fraction and add the top two. They have the common denominator, and I'll just add 14 plus 10, and that becomes 24 over 5 times x minus 6. Okay, and this is your answer. 24 over 5. So 24 over 5 times x minus 6. Okay, that one is your answer there. Okay, once you got it all together. Okay, so let's look at number 11. Of course, number 11 has like a long situation going on, but it's not too bad. Okay, with that, what you're going to do is just basically split this situation up. Okay, so you are going to write it out as 5x to the fourth over 8y to the fourth z cubed divided by, okay, so you're just going to write it out, divided by 10w x squared over 16y squared z. So all that happened is I took this whole problem and put this here and put the division sign and that there. Okay, so that makes a difference because then you can see that all you're doing is taking this exact fraction and multiplying it by the reciprocal of this one, which is 16y squared z over 10wx squared. Okay, so I just flipped this one, kept this one the same, but now I'm multiplying. So with division, you keep this the same and you multiply by the flipped one is this one. So the 5 and the 10, of course, simplify. 5 divided by 10, or 10 divided by 5 is 2, so the 2 is there. Same thing here, the 16 and the 8, this one actually becomes 2. Okay. Of course, look, the 2's and the 2's can cancel each other out. That's awesome. I see an x to the fourth here. I can subtract 2 from that because there's 2 there, so this becomes x squared. Okay, this is 1z, and there's 3 z's here. I can subtract that now. It has 2 z's. This is y to the fourth. This is y squared. This subtracting becomes y squared. There's 4 here, 2. I subtracted 2 from it. W doesn't look like it has any partners. Okay. So what is left over at the top? It looks like x squared I see left over there. At the bottom, I have a y squared, I have a z squared, and it looks like I have a w. Okay. So what's left over is x squared at the top over, I'm going to put in alphabetical order, w y squared z squared. Okay, that is my answer there. Okay, once I've done all this pencil. All right, so this type of problem is different from this one. As you see, this one has a plus in it. This one does not. Okay, there's a whole bunch of multiplying and simplifying here, but this has a plus and a plus. So this is a totally different problem. This type of problem is also different from this one. Why? Because this one has an equal sign. It's an equation as opposed to an algebraic expression. That's what this is. Up here, algebraic expression. That's why we solved it this way. This is an equation with an equal sign there. Okay, it does make a difference on how you solve it. This is an algebraic expression, no equal sign. Okay, we solved it differently. So for these, this one is actually a very long problem, and because you have to get going on the top part, you got to do something, and then you got to do something at the bottom part. So first and foremost, we want to get this top part situation handled. Okay, by combining these two. Okay, we're going to do the top first, and you can't add them without finding a common denominator. So let's do that. We are going to find a common denominator between these two. When you have x plus 3, x minus 2, the common denominator is just going to be them put together. Same thing if you had like x minus 5, x plus 7, then it would be x minus 5, x plus 7. So the common denominator on the top is going to be x plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay. Same thing, x plus 3 and x minus 2 would be the common denominator. We're just doing the top situation here, okay? So from here to here, what changed, okay? It looks like the x minus 3 is still there, but we added that x minus 2, okay? So if you add the x minus 2, you have to add it to the top, okay? So that's what's new at the bottom. Same thing here. It already has x minus 2 there, but x plus 3 was added, so now we have to add that to the top. Okay. Now that these two have the same denominator, we can put them all under 1. X plus 3, x minus 2, it can go there. But the top we can distribute. This now becomes 2x minus 4 plus, we're distributing here and here, this becomes 5x plus 15, okay? So we put them all on the same fraction because they have the same denominator. So now we can combine like terms. 2x plus 5x now becomes 7x. Of course, they're under the same denominator, x plus 3 and x minus 2. And then we have negative 4 plus 15. That looks like it's going to be positive 11. Okay, so this situation is just what's happening up top. Okay, that's what happened up top. So up top, we now have 7x plus 11 over, okay, x plus 3, and then x minus 2. Of course, whatever happens at the bottom, we're going to divide that by whatever. So this top part is divided by, so I just put a division sign, whatever happens at the bottom, okay? So we have to figure that out. So now we have this at the bottom. What is the common denominator there? It looks like x plus 3, x minus 2. So the common denominator would be x plus 3, x minus 2, plus, of course, x plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay, so what happened here? We added the x minus 2. So x plus 3 is already there, but x minus 2 is new. So up top, we have to say 5 times x minus 2. Okay, same thing here, x minus 2 is already here, but x plus 3 is new. So up top, we have to add the x plus 3. Now that they have the same denominator, we can put it under 1. X plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay, distribute. This becomes 5x minus 10. When you distribute here, this becomes positive 3x plus 9. Okay. Combine like terms. 5x plus 3x is 8x. Negative 10 plus 9 looks like negative 1 over x plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay. So that stay the same. I combine like terms on top. So this now becomes the bottom situation. So now we're dividing by 8x minus 1 over x plus 3, x minus 2. Okay, as we've seen there. Now, remember what you do with division. We're dividing, so the first stays the same, x plus 11 over x plus 3, x minus 2. We can multiply by the reciprocal, okay? This goes to the top, x plus 3 and x minus 2 over the bottom now becomes 8x minus 1, okay? So, of course, you can cross simplify. These cancel out, this cancels out. At the top, this has to stay the same. So your answer now becomes 7x plus 11 over 8x minus 1. This is your answer, okay? Once you simplify. All right, so now, of course, this is different. Why? Because it has an equal sign. It's an equation. We're number 13. So I'm going to solve this kind of differently. Yes, I mean, you still have to have a common denominator, but you do something different with that common denominator. So I have it written out here, I believe. Good. All right, so I have that written out here. And what I'm going to do is find the common denominator. First, I have to factor this. Okay, of course, it's perfect square, perfect square. This is going to be, I'm not changing this any. Okay, left that the same. But the when I factor that bottom part, this now becomes, of course, W and 4, and this is W and 4, and positive, negative in between, because that's what you have. There's a difference of squares here. It's a square root, and then one positive, one negative. Okay. So as you see there, the common denominator here, when I have to multiply everything by the common denominator, would be W plus 4, W minus 4. Okay, that's all really that's going on at the bottom. So I take this W plus 4 and W minus 4, and I'd multiply it by everything individually. This becomes 1 over W minus 4. Okay, plus, and then I'd take this again. and multiply it by the 3 over w plus 4. And then, of course, I'd take this again, and I'd multiply it by the last situation, 12 over w plus 4, w minus 4. Okay? Sorry about that. It's all the way in the edge. Okay? So basically, I took this and I multiplied by that. I multiplied by that, and I multiplied here. And now I can simplify. W minus 4 cancel out. This now becomes w plus 4 times 1 is just w plus 4. Okay. This w plus 4 cancels out here. What's left over is positive 3. So it's going to be 3 times w minus 4 equals w plus 4, and the w minus 4 cancel out there. What's left over is just 12. Okay. So after all of that, this is just left over. I can distribute. This becomes w plus 4, I didn't change it, plus 3w minus 12 equals 12. Let's combine like terms. W plus 3w is 4w. Okay. Positive 4 minus 12 is negative 8. Okay. And now you add 8. 4w equals 12 plus 8 is 20. And then divide by 4. Okay. So w looks like it's equal to 20 divided by 4, which is 5. So your w value is equal to 5 after all of that. Okay. This one's actually more difficult, but it's the same concept. Okay. So for this one, we get w is equal to 5 after we did the problem. Right. All right, so let's look at number 14. Number 14 here is also an equation. So you'd handle it the same way, kind of like this, but it's just a little bit more intricate. So look at these denominators. What would be our greatest common, our LCD, our least common denominator? What would be the common denominator here? Looks like x plus 1 and x plus 7. Okay, so I have that written out here. And let's multiply everything by the common denominator, which is x plus 1 and x plus 7. Okay. Of course, I don't have to write it all out again. I can show you. I'm multiplying this times this. The x plus 1s would cancel out. What will be left over is now x plus 2 and x plus 7. Okay. Equals, here the x plus 7s would cancel out. What's left over would be x minus 3 and x plus 1. Okay. And here you're just multiplying it by 1, so nothing would be canceled out, but it would just give you x plus 1 and x plus 7, okay, as your situation. And yes, this is like really, really nasty. You have to FOIL and all of that stuff, but it is what it is. You got to do it. All right, so here you're going to FOIL, you're going to multiply x times x, and that becomes x squared. X times 7 now becomes positive 7x. 2 times x is positive 2x, and 2 times 7 is positive 14. Okay, so that's that there. Equals x times x is x squared. X times 1 is positive 1x. Okay, which I just put x there. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. Okay, here x times x is x squared. X times 7 is positive 7x. X times 1 is positive 1x, or just x, and 1 times 7 is positive 7. Okay. Now, for this side, I can combine like terms. 7x plus 2x is 9x. So this now becomes x squared plus 9x plus 14. Okay. So nothing really changed there. Now I can combine all these terms. This is x squared plus x squared is now equal to 2x squared. I have a 1x, positive 1x, negative 3x, positive 7x, and positive 1. So basically I have 1 minus 3 plus 7x, plus 7, and then plus 1. Okay, and that'll give me positive 6x. And then I have -3 and +7, and that becomes +4. Okay. So when you have a squared value of any kind, so if I have a squared, you know you have to get it equal to 0. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to subtract this, and subtract this. I know because I need it to be equal to 0. And if I do it on this side, it becomes -x² minus 9x minus 14. So I have to do the same thing on both sides. Okay. This now becomes 0 equals 2x² minus x². This becomes 1x², or just x². 6x minus 9x is -3x. And +4 minus 14 looks like it becomes -10. Okay. So now to get my answer, I'm going to have to factor. Same or different looks like different. One's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. Multiples of 10 that subtract to give you 3 looks like 5 and 2. 5 is -2. Okay. I know that 5 is negative because the middle number is negative. That means the bigger number is negative. And now it can be x plus 2 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. Subtract 2. One of my answers is x equals -2. Okay. Here, add 5. The other answer is x equals +5. So those are my two answers. -2. X is going to be equal to -2. X is going to be equal to 5. So x is equal to -2 and x is equal to +5. That is my answer for number 14. Okay. Yes, a lot of work, I know, but well worth it. Okay, well worth it. We got the answer that we needed. All right, so number 15, these problems from 15, I want to say 15 and 16 and even 17 are word problems. The 15 is actually, they're called work problems. And these are not difficult. As long as you know the formula, you will get this correct. It is not a difficult way to get it. For the first time you see it, you might be confused, but if you see this type of problem in the future, hopefully you'll feel comfortable with it. Okay, so working together, 2 plows can plow a field in 5 hours. Okay, if it takes the new plow, so you have a new, probably an old, and then you're going to say together. Okay, and this is how you'll set up these problems every time. And the more we do them, the easier it'll get. So working together, it's 6 hours. So I'm going to say 1 over 6. Okay, you're always going to put whatever number over 1 over that number. Okay, equal. So this is how the setup is. If it takes the new plow 8 hours, so 1 over 8 plus, okay, how long does it take the old? We don't know how much the old. Okay, so this is the situation. It takes the new 8, so we're going to put 1 over 8. We don't know how much the old, and together it's 6 hours, so it's 1 over 6. Okay, so this is the setup of the problem. Old plus new equals together. So I've kind of written that out already. Okay, I've written that out already here. Old plus new, or new plus old equals together. Now we need to solve this problem by finding a common denominator. Okay, common denominator, you'll basically take all the denominators. You can multiply them all together if you want, or you can find something that's common between the LCD for this, if it's common between the two. I know that 8 and 6 both multiplied to go into 24, so that would work for me. And don't forget the x. So 24x is what I would use. If you use 48 by multiplying 4 and 6, 8 and 6 together, that will also work, but you just have to simplify later. Okay, so this becomes 24x. I'm going to multiply this 24x by everything, just like we did before. Okay, so everything does this. Now you're going to simplify. So you're dividing 24 and 8. Of course, you get 3. Okay, so your answer there would be 3x, because it's 3x and 1. 3x times 1, which is just 3x. Then you're going to simplify this. The x's cancel out. It looks like 24 is just left over. And then here, of course, 24 divided by 6 is 4. So this just becomes 4x. Okay. So now we're going to get the x's together. It doesn't matter which way you go, I would subtract this so I can just get the x's on the same side away from this number. Okay, when you have a single x value, you know you're going to solve for x. 4x minus 3x is just x. So basically your answer there is 24. Okay, you have basically it'll take 24 hours for how long would it take them to no, how long did it take the older plow? Okay, it'll take the older plow, looks like 24 hours. So your answer here is 24 hours. Okay. All right. So we got that for the older plow. Now let's look at number 15B. Joan can wallpaper a room in 3 hours. So we know Joan, and we're going to say 1/3. Okay. Bonnie can wallpaper the same bathroom in 5 hours. So now we have plus Bonnie. And we, of course, that's going to be 1/5. Now we need to know together how long would it take? Okay. So how long would it take for them together? So we don't know how long it'll take together. Okay. So we need to have this problem. It's the same setup as the other one. Okay. This is the problem here. And we're going to find the common denominator. Okay. I would just multiply all the denominators together. 3 times 5 times x. That's going to give me 15x. There's no common before 15. So 15x. So of course, 15x times this. 15x times this. And 15x times this. That is going to be, those are your common. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to multiply everything by your common denominator. Simplify, 15 divided by 3 is 5. This becomes now 5x plus 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that becomes 3x. And 15, the only thing that cancels out here are your x's. So 15 times 1 is 15. Add them together, 5x plus 3x, that becomes 8x equals 15. And of course, divide by 8. So your x is going to be equal to 15, okay? 15 divided by 8, which gives me 1.875. 1.875 is what you're going to get for that. And they're saying how many hours, so it's going to take 1.875 hours. Okay, if they work together. And sometimes they might want you to do like round to the nearest 10th. They didn't say that here, but if they did, you would look at 7. 7 will make that go up. It'd be 1.9 hours if they want you to round, but they didn't say it. So I'm just going to leave it that way. Okay, 1.875 hours there. Okay, perfect. All right, let's go to the last page of our review. Antonio can install a new roof in 4 days. So Antonio is 1/4 plus Bob equals together. Okay, so Antonio's 1 in 4 days. Bob is 6 days, so 1/6. We don't know how much they could do together. Okay, same situation. We'll have that down here. We need to find a common denominator between 4 and 6. If you wanted to multiply 4 to 24x, that would be fine. But there's a smaller one. It looks like 12 because 12 goes into 4 and 6. So it becomes 12x. Don't forget the x. So if I multiply 12x times 1/4, then 12x times 1/6, and then 12x times 1/x. Okay. That will do. Let's simplify. This becomes 3. So that's 3x plus 12 divided by 6 is 2. 2x equals, and then the x's cancel out here and it's just 12. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. And I'm multiplying, I'm adding. 5x equals 12 and then divide by 5. So your x is going to be equal to 12 divided by 5. And that's 2.4. So it'll take them together 2.4 hours. Okay, that's how long it'll take them together for the week. And that is here, 2.4 hours. Okay. All right, so the next problem is distance, rate, and time. Okay, distance, rate, and time is going to be this problem. You will see these a lot. Distance equals rate times time is what the formula you're really going to use for these type of problems. All right, so for 16A, it says a cyclist rides 120 kilometers with the wind. That's important. With the wind. Okay. In the same amount of time. That's also important. Same amount of time is also something important. Okay. In the same amount of time that it takes a ride against the wind, the rate of the wind is 10 kilometers per hour. What is the cyclist speed at the rate? Basically, they're asking for the rate. If they're asking for the speed, what's the rate? Okay. So if you have a cyclist rides 120 kilometers, that's the distance. So if you have the distance is 120 equals, okay, the rate, it's a with the wind. So if it's with the wind and the wind is 10 kilometers, it's going to be rate plus 10, because that's with the wind. And then the time. Okay, that's how you're going to kind of set this up. Same thing here, 90 kilometers. And this is against the wind, so it's R minus 10 because the wind is 10 kilometers. And then you're going to have time. Okay, you're going to set all of these up the same way. So now that you have that, okay, I have that already kind of written out. This is 120 with the wind, 90 against the wind. I'm going to solve these both for T, okay? And that's how you're going to solve both of these type of problems that we have. So I'm going to divide this by R plus 10, divide by R plus 10. This now becomes T equals 120 over R plus 10, okay? This one, to solve for T, I'd have to divide R minus 10. So I'm going to say R minus 10. So this becomes now 90 divided by R minus 10 equals T. So if they said the same amount of time, that time is equal in this situation, that means both of these things are going to be equal. And that's how we're going to solve this problem, okay? If they say at the same amount of time, we want that time to be equal, that means these two things are going to be equal. So you're going to set 120 over R plus 10 equal to 90 over R minus 10. Okay, I set these equal to each other. I set this one equal to that one. So now I can cross multiply. Okay, 120 times R minus 10 equals 90 times R plus 10. Okay, distribute. This now becomes 120R minus 120 times negative 10 is 1,200 maybe? Yes. Okay. This one distribute the 90. This becomes 90R plus 900. Okay. Then you're going to, I would subtract 90R from both sides and add 1,200. Cancels out here, cancels out here. 120 minus 90, I want to say it's 30. 30R equals, and then I have 900 plus 1,200, and that's 2,100. Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, and then you're going to have, basically, you're going to divide both sides by 30. So this is the rate. The rate is going to be 2,100 divided by 30, which becomes 70. So your rate is going to be 70, I want to say kilometers. Okay, what's the cyclist speed with no wind? 70 kilometers. Okay, that is going to be your rate of the cyclist with no wind. All right, and that's how you solve those problems. Seems very, very difficult at first, but once you know how to set them up, you're good. All right, let's look at the next one. So for this one, we got 70 kilometers. Okay, let's look at the next one. A plane travels 500 miles. Remember, distance equals rate times time. 500 miles with the wind. It takes the same amount of time for the plane to travel 300 miles against the wind, okay? The rate of the wind is 25. So let's set that up. We said 500 miles is the first one, and it's with the wind, so it's going to be rate plus 25. T. Okay. Second one, 300 against the wind, or minus 25, because the wind is 25, if we see there, and then T. Okay. So we set those up the same way, and it says same amount of time. Same thing it said there, same amount of time. We know that is important because the time's going to be equal, and then that's going to be enable us to set up our problem. All right, so we have these problems. This is what it is with the wind against the wind. So here we're going to solve for time, r plus 25 divided by r plus 25. This now becomes 500 over r plus 25, and that equals T. Okay. Same here, we're going to get rid of the r minus 25 on both sides. This now becomes 300 over r minus 25, and that equals T. Okay. So now that the T's, now we can set these equal to one another. Okay. So it's going to be 500 over r plus 25 equals 300 over r minus 25. Okay. Cross multiply. So this becomes 500 times r minus 25, and then 300 equals 300 times r plus 25. Go ahead and distribute. 500r minus, I'll have to put that in my calculator, 500 times 25. It looks like 12,500. Yep. Equals 300r plus 300 times 25 is 7,500. Okay. I'm going to subtract 300r and add 12,500, add 12,500, both sides. Okay. Cancels out there. This becomes 200r equals 7,500 plus 12,500. This becomes 20,000. Divide by 200, of course. R is going to be equal to 100. Okay, so your answer there is 100 once we've done all the math for the distance, rate, and time. Okay, and again, these two problems are very similar, the same setup. You just have to follow your rules. Okay, so your answer there for your rate is going to be equal to 100 miles per hour. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 17. Number 17 says Roy drove 345 miles using 12 gallons of gas. At this rate, how many gallons? So the rate is already the same. How many gallons of gas does he need to drive 521 miles? This one is miles. This is actually a proportion, miles over gallons, basically, equals miles over gallons, and then you're going to solve that way. Okay, so basically with that one, you have 345 miles over 12 gallons, and that's going to be equal to, we don't know how many gallons, but we know it's 521 miles, and we don't know how many gallons. Okay, so now with this one, you just cross multiply. Right, so this becomes 345 times x is 345x equals, and then multiply 521 times 12. All right, so this becomes 6252, okay? And then 6,252, and then you're going to divide by 345 on both sides, okay? So this becomes x equals 6252 divided by 345, and that's going to give you 18. It doesn't tell you to round, but of course I'm going to just round to the 100, so 18.12. Okay, this is only one, so this stays 2. So this becomes 18.12 gallons. Okay, good. All right, so we got that. Now let's go ahead and here we only have 3 problems left, so let's get these knocked out. For this particular one, what you're going to do is you have to have, if you're, no, you're multiplying. So when you're multiplying, this one is kind of different because you have to have the common denominator, okay? But this case, you're multiplying, but we do need to factor some things. So we'll take it here, I have it written out. You're going to factor the top. That's a perfect square, okay? We know that that becomes now 3x and 5, and then another 3x and 5, one positive, one negative, okay? At the bottom, though, it looks like we're going to have to circle slide divide. So we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 9, okay? We're going to circle slide divide. We're factoring. This becomes x squared minus 3x minus 18, okay? I multiply 2 times 9, that became 18. Same, more, different. That means one positive, one negative. Multiples of 18, that's subtract to get you 3. 6 and 3. So 6 is negative and 3. Don't forget to divide by that number 2. Okay, this goes here. This becomes 2x plus 3. You can simplify 6 and 2, 6 divided by 2, and that becomes 3. So this is your answer there. This is basically this situation. I factored it here, so this is now 2x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay. You're multiplying, so you don't switch anything here, but you can simplify there by taking the 4 greatest common factor, take a 4 out. What's left over is x minus 3. Okay. Here, can you take anything out? Nope. We're just going to leave it 3x plus 5. Let's simplify. X minus 3, 3x plus 5, 3x plus 5. Nothing else simplifies. What's left over at the top is 4 times 3x minus 5. And at the bottom, it looks like just 2x plus 3. Okay, that is your answer for number 18. Number 18, 4 times 3x minus 5 over 2x plus 3. That's what your answer is going to be there. Okay, perfect. And that's doing all of the factoring and everything. All right, so our last 2 problems, this problem here, it looks very much so the same. It is not. These are not common denominators. This one is flipped. Okay, we can flip it back. So if you have a problem like this, and you are, so we have 3, I didn't write this one out. I should have done that. 3 over 3x minus 4 minus 6 over 4 minus 3x. Okay, so I wrote that there. If you flip this, okay, so you have 3 over 3x minus 4, but let's say that I flip this. So this now becomes negative 3x because the sign in front of it belongs to, so you have to move it to, plus 4. Okay, if you have a negative out front here, I would take it out. So what this now looks like is going to be negative comes out, and that just changes the sign of everything. Remember, this is already negative here, but this now becomes positive 3x, and this now becomes negative 4. So I took that negative out here, okay, in the front. And now you see how these two kind of look alike, but they have 2 negatives here. That changes that to a positive. So now what this looks like is 3 over 3x minus 4 plus, because this 2 became negative, 6 over 3x minus 4. Okay, so I took out the negative, it changed that to 3x minus 4, and now there are common denominators. So now you have, it's going to be 3x minus 4, they're common, and we can add the top. 3 plus 6 becomes 9. Okay, so that is going to be your answer, but you have to change that bottom part. That's all the situation that's happening there. So the answer there is 9 over 3x minus 4, once we got the common denominator. Okay. Finally, for number 20, it is, so I wrote it out here, just so I can have that. And then we're going to be done. When you have this long situation here and you're dividing it by this, you have to do long division. So this is going to be 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. You're dividing it by 10x to the fourth minus 21x cubed plus 5x squared plus 15x minus 14. Okay, so we're dividing all that. And of course, you're going to be looking always at this first number. What do I have to multiply by this 2x squared? That'll give me 10x to the fourth. Looks like 5x squared. Okay, so 5x squared times 2x squared became 10x to the fourth. That's exactly what I wanted. 5x squared times negative 3 is negative 15x cubed. And 5x squared times 2 is positive 10x squared. Okay, don't forget to change the sign. Plus, this now becomes negative. Cancels out here. Okay, you have negative 21 plus 15, and that becomes negative 6x cubed. Okay, and then 5x squared minus 10x squared is negative 5x squared. And then, of course, we have to bring this down. That becomes plus 15x. Okay, now you're looking at this number. What do you have to multiply by 2x squared to give you negative 6x cubed? Okay, so this now becomes negative 3x. Negative 3x times 2x is negative 6x cubed. Negative 3 times negative 3x times negative 3x is positive 9x squared. Negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x. Okay? So now, change the sign. Okay? Cancels out. This now becomes negative 14x squared. You're adding 15 plus 6. That becomes positive 21x. And then don't forget to bring down that negative 14. Okay? So now you have 2x. What do you have to multiply by 2x squared? That'll give you negative 14x squared. Looks like negative 7. Okay, negative 7 times 2x is negative 14x squared. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21x. And negative 7 times positive 2 is negative 14. Okay, change the sign here, change the sign here, change the sign here. Your problem looks like it's going to cancel out everywhere. Okay, so 0 is the remainder. All right. So your answer there is the top part here, no remainder. This becomes 5x squared minus 3x minus 7. I want to say, yep, this is your answer. 5x squared minus 3x minus 7 is your answer for number 20, and we are done. Okay. All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. Do not hesitate to email me.